The U.S. has fulfilled its pledge to take in 100,000 Ukrainians fleeing the Russian invasion.
President Biden promised to welcome a small fraction of the millions of refugees in March. And CBS News confirms approximately 47,000 Ukrainians have come to the U.S. on temporary or immigrant visas. And nearly 30,000 more people arrived under a private sponsorship program, while more than 22,000 refugees were admitted along the U.S.-Mexico border. An additional 500 Ukrainians entered the country through the traditional refugee system.
Joining us now to talk about this is the author of the article we've just mentioned there, CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez. My first time meeting you in person. Yes. A real pleasure to have you here after admiring your work from afar, Camilo. But let's talk about this. Only Ukrainians who entered the U.S. with an immigrant visa or through this refugee admissions program have a direct path to a permanent residency card and ultimately U.S. citizenship. So just talk to us about what that path looks like.
That really is a critical question. The U.S. has now welcomed more than 100,000 Ukrainians since Russia invaded Ukraine, but most of these Ukrainians only have temporary permission to stay in the country. Those with immigrant visas, because they had family members or employers here who sponsor them, are on a pathway to U.S. citizenship. Those who arrive with traditional refugee status also qualify for permanent residency. But other Ukrainians who make up the bulk of these arrivals do not have a clear pathway to U.S. citizenship. These are Ukrainians who were admitted along the U.S.-Mexico border after they flew to Mexico. These are also Ukrainians who are arriving under a new private sponsorship program that the Biden administration set up in April. These Ukrainians are being granted something called parole, which allows them to live and work here legally for 2 years. But importantly, it does not provide them a pathway to permanent status.
So what happens to those who maybe don't have visas or they didn't enter through an admissions program?
Well, the Biden administration, Debra, has argued that most of these Ukrainians are seeking temporary refuge from the war, not permanent resettlement. But I think we can expect some of these Ukrainians to stay here permanently, especially if the war back home rages on. So these Ukrainians will likely remain in legal limbo unless they apply for and win asylum, or Congress creates a legalization program for them. But there are two main issues at play here. One is that the U.S. asylum system is massively backlogged with nearly 500,000 pending cases. And the other issue here is that Congress, over the past few years, has failed to pass any comprehensive immigration reform, let alone a legalization program, amid intense disagreements over U.S. immigration and border policy.
And that's what really jumps out at me. You have so many variables here. The war in Ukraine is ongoing. It's showing no signs of slowing down. So surely these Ukrainians who even intend to return home won't necessarily be able to. At the same time, I'm struck by the Central Americans, the Southern Americans who have been trying for so long to get their legal path to U.S. citizenship. So what type of criticism is the Biden administration facing in doing enough, either for the Ukrainians or for the so many others who are trying to get legal status?
No, that's another great question. Refugee advocates and some progressive lawmakers have certainly accused the Biden administration of prioritizing Ukrainian refugees over other at-risk migrant populations, such as Afghans who were not resettled last summer after the Taliban takeover, and also Latin American asylum seekers along the U.S.-Mexico border. There are still thousands of at-risk Afghans in third countries in the Middle East who are hoping to secure U.S. resettlement. And we also have some asylum seekers along the U.S.-Mexico border who are currently blocked from seeking asylum because of the Title 42 policy. This is the public health emergency order dating back to the Trump administration that a federal court has required the Biden administration to maintain, and it blocks migrants from seeking asylum on public health grounds.
Such a complicated web, and it's great to have you sort through all the layers of that. We know you'll be busy for some time to come. Camilo Montoya Galvez, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.